am in the student mode right now. So once you log in, this is how to look for y'all. So this is the module that you're under.
Good morning, Jeff Davis. Good morning, teachers and students. Again, good morning to all of you. You should be in second period right now. You should be in second period. Just a few announcements, just a few. Teachers, just make sure, I will send out, in lieu of faculty meeting, I'll send out some notes today. Just make sure you read those notes and respond accordingly. Just please make sure you do it. It'll be sometime this afternoon. Students, this message is directly for you. You guys have been doing so much better getting to class on time. We really do appreciate that. So continue to get to class on time. You guys have been doing a great job of getting to class on time. We really do appreciate you. So thank you for doing that. Also, please remember to bring a mask with you. Please bring a mask with you. We've been giving you guys masks since August. It's December tomorrow. So you guys are old enough. We're going to do a call out, remind your parents that you guys need to have a mask when you come to school. Please do that. They're cheap. We're giving you cloth masks now, so you can take that home, wash it, and bring it back. So please bring your mask with you. Also, students, I need you guys to start doing this, especially the ones that are not. You guys need to start completing your work in class on time. You need to complete your work and turn it in on time. In too many instances where students are not completing their work, you guys are in class and you still won't do your work. Doesn't make sense to me. So you need to be participating in class, completing as many times you can inside of the classroom. That will help you out so much. It'll help you out, gives the teacher a chance to assess your learning, make adjustments if needed. So please do that. You're coming into school, there's no reason for you to take English 9 this semester now in the summertime and in Eden Academy. Doesn't make sense. Take it one time. If you do your work and apply yourself the first time, you will set yourself up to be successful and gain the credit that you need to gain. So please take school seriously. Complete your work and turn it in on time. Everyone have a great day.
All right. So this is how it looks when you log in as a student. It'll have the different. Well, let me go back. So it'll look like it'll have the different modules in here. I have them closed, like the ones we haven't went over yet, but like we've done safety precautions, infection control, we've done all this stuff already. But we're gonna be working on personal quality, so you'll click whatever module it is, and it has each unit. So we're gonna start with personal characteristics. So these are the quizzes that I've been putting on, like quizzes. These are where I get the questions from, but it's also the notes that we go over, and I'm reading directly from the quizzes if I'm telling you to write something down. So that's how it works. Quizzes will be closed until I'm ready for y'all to take them. So I'm gonna try to time it to where I can get enough Chromebooks or whatever to have in class. So we're gonna start with personal characteristics.
What you'll learn after you finish.
All right, so our objectives are to list principles for maintaining good health, identify guidelines for dressing professionally, and then ways to manage personal hygiene.
Personal appearance.
We do have another late bus, so please allow those kids in. Once again, we do have a late bus. Please allow those kids in class.
All right, so it's important for healthcare workers to take pride in their personal appearance. They must practice healthy habits and wear professional garments. When healthcare workers present a positive self-image, patients are more likely to feel confident about the care they receive.
Good health.
All right, so one aspect of personal appearance is good health. Um, Good health involves treating and preventing health problems. So you got 6 items that are principles for maintaining good health. So you have good nutrition, that's eat well balanced meals to provide the body with energy and nutrients, regular physical activity, exercise daily to develop muscle tone, maintain circulation, relieve stress, and improve emotional well-being, adequate sleep. Make sure you get enough sleep each night so that the body is refreshed and alert for the next day's activities. Effective stress management, learn to manage your stress, um, which reduces the risk of stress-related health problems. Because if you're stressed, then all kind of things can go wrong with your body. Um, Stress can lead to like panic attacks, anxiety, depression, heart problems. Can you know lead to obesity if you stress eat, or you can be underweight if you don't eat when you're stressed out. So it can lead to all kind of things that could be negative to your health and your mental health, not just physically. Good posture. Practice good posture to prevent fatigue and reduce the risk of muscle strains. Avoid harmful substances. Avoid using substances like tobacco, alcohol, drugs. These things can damage your body and it can impair judgment. So who would want a nurse or a doctor that's drunk or high, like performing a procedure on them? That's when errors occur. When healthcare workers apply these principles, they increase their ability to perform daily tasks. In addition, healthcare workers who are physically and mentally fit are prepared to handle the challenges of working in a medical facility. I'm not sure y'all have that right now. How does regular physical activity affect the body? So it develops muscle tone, maintains circulation, relieves stress, improves emotional well-being. Good health will increase a healthcare worker's ability to perform daily tasks. That's true.
Dress requirements.
All right, so every medical facility has dress requirements for the employees. Healthcare workers must take special care to abide by the rules and to maintain a neat appearance. Requirements for dress vary by facility, but there are basic guidelines that all healthcare workers should follow. So, uniforms. Some agencies require healthcare workers to wear white, while other agencies allow colors. All uniforms should be well-fitting, clean, and free from wrinkles. Undergarments should be white or neutral so that they cannot be seen through uniform. So, a lot of places, if you're working like in like direct patient care, they will wear scrubs. So even though scrubs are comfortable, they're soft, you still need to make sure they're not wrinkly. Like you don't want to look like you just rolled out of bed. Um, a lot of places, depending on what department you work in, is what color scrub you wear. So I've only had one job where you can wear what you want, but I think now they've gone over to like each department has a different color scrub that they wear. So when I've wore like turquoise. I've wore like a wine color. I've worn like a seal blue. So it just depends on where you work. They have them like color coded so people know like okay that's a nurse, that's the lab tech, that's X-ray. Like they're color coded. Um, some agencies allow regular clothing to be worn in place of a uniform. Like uniforms, clothing must be well fitting, clean, and free from wrinkles. In addition, healthcare workers must choose clothing that is appropriate for their jobs. For example, neat sweatpants may be appropriate for an athletic trainer, but sweatpants will not be proper for a medical billing officer. So you do have people in the hospital that don't necessarily wear scrubs. They might work as a unit secretary and they wear like, slacks or a shirt or whatever. They can wear scrubs if they want to. But normally, if you're doing direct patient care, you will have on scrubs because you're dealing with like the body fluids and things like that. And you're actually, touching patients and stuff. So scrubs are easy to clean. Shoes. Many facilities require healthcare workers to wear white socks and shoes. Some facilities do not have a color preference. All shoes must be clean and supportive. Sandals and shoes with high heels should be avoided. With shoes, most things that we had to do where I worked at, we could wear like whatever any color tennis shoes or whatever we wanted, but you could not wear anything with mesh like in the toe. Couldn't wear Crocs got holes in them. Because if you think about, you're working with patients that's got blood, they got all kind of body fluids, you get splashed, you get sprayed. Um, like I don't want that on my foot, you know. So that's why we don't wear them. And then they got holes in them. You drop a needle, could stick yourself or something sharp. You know what I'm saying? So that's why. And then like the mesh tennis shoes would like stuff could like permeate through there, so we couldn't wear those either.
Dress requirements.
Additional dress requirements. So you have name badges. Healthcare workers are required to wear name badges at most facilities. In some types of medical facilities, it's illegal to work without a name badge. Name badges usually display the name, title, and department of the healthcare worker. Many name badges also contain an identification photo. We just had name and department. I don't think we had picture. I can't remember. But name badge is how you get through different doors because, a lot of times doors are locked in the hospital, so it scans you in. And it's how you clock in. So you need to have your badge so you get paid. So you clock in, you scan into different parts of the hospital. Jewelry. Jewelry is not allowed in most healthcare professions. Exceptions include wedding rings, small earrings, and watches. When jewelry is permitted by a facility, it should be tasteful and not worn to excess. And you don't want to wear like big old earrings, a necklace that's hanging down, like a bunch of stuff because, like, first of all, you're in the hospital and it's germs, and I don't want my good stuff like exposed to that. And like, patients can be confused when they wake up from being sedated or wake up, they're confused. They might start pulling that stuff. Little babies, if you work with pediatrics or infants or something like that, they pull that stuff. So you don't want anything that's hanging down that they can grab, can cause some kind of problem. So, which of the following is the best description of how healthcare workers should dress? Clean, well-fitting clothes that are appropriate for specific jobs. So you need to write that down. Best description of how healthcare workers should dress. Clean, well-fitting clothes that are appropriate for specific jobs. Narrow, why you not writing? Huh? You don't have what? What stuff? What's that in front of you? Here go a binder with paper. There were some pencils in that cup back there. Am I still writing?
Hygiene.
All right, so in addition to dress requirements, healthcare workers must be mindful of their personal hygiene, which should be common sense, but following guidelines should be practiced by all healthcare workers. So personal hygiene, you must make every effort to control body odor, shower daily, use deodorant, brush teeth, wear clean undergarments. In addition, healthcare workers must not wear strong perfumes, lotions, aftershaves, or hair products that may be overbearing or cause allergic reactions in patients and coworkers. So we have had like patients that like their body reacts to strong smells. So they'll request like if anybody has like heavy perfume on, heavy lotions, or whatever they use on their body, not to come in because it can cause some kind of issues with their. A lot of times it's their breathing. So um fingernails, healthcare workers should keep their fingernails short and rounded. Write that first sentence down. Let me make it bigger for y'all. Okay. So healthcare workers should keep their fingernails short and rounded. Um, Longer pointed fingernails may injure patients or tear gloves. If fingernails are painted, the color must be clear or neutral. In most cases, acrylic fingernails are not allowed. Also, fingernails must be kept clean. Use a nail brush to clean under fingernails and remove all dirt and pathogens. So the debate with the fingernails for like females or whatever and acrylic and stuff like that is because it dirt and stuff gets between up under your nail that you can't get off because you got acrylic up under there. So I mean on top of there. And then I never wore nails when I worked in the hospital because they had to be a certain color. It was only specific colors they let you wear, and it had to be like really short. So I just didn't bother with getting them done because I had so many stipulations on them. So hair should be washed regularly and styled neatly. Extreme styles and flashy hair accessories should be avoided. Healthcare workers work closely with patients. Long hair must be pulled back. Hair should never touch patients or block vision during procedures. So if you got like long hair, it's best to pull it back because if you're like bending over to do something or leaning into your patient, for one, they could pull it, or your hair could get into something they don't need to be getting into, like body stuff. So that's why it should be like pulled back away, and then like you need to be able to see, like if you're doing something. So. Makeup. When makeup is worn, it must be natural and tasteful. Extreme or excessive makeup should be avoided. Just write down that deodorant is appropriate for healthcare workers. That's a personal hygiene product that's appropriate is deodorant. All right, everybody still ready? Some personal hygiene products have strong odors and may not be appropriate for healthcare workers. Extreme hairstyles and makeup are encouraged at healthcare facilities. Oh. All right. So we got. Make it smaller. All right. So we need to put what goes in the correct action.
Where's the point of sheet? And use deodorant.
Pull back long hair.
Where your name at? Eat well, balance meals.
Exercise regular.
That's it. So everything else go here. Right. So correct things are to wear supportive shoes, use deodorant, pull back long hair, wear your name badge, wear makeup that looks natural, eat well balanced meals, and exercise regularly. Incorrect will be to wear tight clothing, wear sandals, keep fingernails long, paint fingernails with bright colors, use tobacco, alcohol, and drugs, sleep as little as possible, and then wear strong perfume or cologne.
What do you learn?
All right, so we're gonna talk about desirable traits. So we're gonna list desirable traits for healthcare workers, identify strengths and weaknesses as a healthcare worker, and then name your long-term and short-term goals.
Desirable traits.
All right, so to be successful, healthcare workers must demonstrate certain personality traits. Some of these traits may not be natural for every healthcare worker. All healthcare workers must be committed to developing these attitudes and personal characteristics. So, desirable traits for healthcare workers include these general mindsets. Make sure you have a positive attitude, follow the rules, communicate effectively, interact appropriately, growing personally and professionally. So, these are things that should be desired uh, to be a healthcare worker. I mean, to be any kind of worker, basically, any kind of job.
Positive attitude.
Healthcare workers must display a positive attitude in their daily activities. A positive spirit is contagious and can create a pleasant environment for patients and coworkers. To create a positive attitude, healthcare workers must develop the following traits: flexibility, honesty, responsibility, commitment, and enthusiasm.
Flexibility.
So, above all other traits, healthcare workers must be flexible. Medical facilities are always changing. Healthcare workers must demonstrate the ability to adapt to change, learn new skills, and try different methods. For example, Walter has been a nurse for many years. When he began working as a nurse, mercury thermometers were the primary tool used for taking temperature. However, the healthcare facility where he works now uses only electronic thermometers. Walter must be flexible and adapt to this change. In addition, he must be willing to learn the correct procedure for operating a new piece of equipment. So this is true as far as being flexible because like medicine is always changing. Um, New equipment comes out all the time. Like mercury thermometers, y'all wasn't even born when that was out. So now they use the digital ones or electronic thermometers. They use the forehead ones, which I don't really think are accurate, but that's neither here nor there. And so it's they got all kind of different ways to take temperature now. Last year when we would come in the building, we had these things that look like a metal detector, but you had to put your forehead up against the thing to take your temperature when we come in the building. So which wasn't really accurate because if it's freezing outside, of course my temperature's gonna be low when I walk through the door. But I mean, you gotta be flexible. You gotta learn new things. It's always changing. Which of the following items demonstrates flexibility? Learning a new method.
Honesty.
All right, so honesty, truthfulness, and integrity must be held in high regard in the workplace. Healthcare workers must be able to trust each other. In addition, healthcare workers must always be honest with patients so that patients never doubt the quality of their care. For example, Ronnie is having a busy day at work. Her supervisor asked her to check the temperature of a patient. Ronnie is tempted to make up a temperature and record it on the patient's chart to save time. However, Ronnie knows that this is not honest. Lying would injure her professional relationship with her boss and coworkers. Plus, lying about a temperature could cause complications to the patient's health. Despite her busy schedule, Ronnie takes his patient's temperature correctly. And also, uh, if you're making up stuff and putting it, like those are vital signs. So if you're putting that in a patient's chart and you're making it up, that's falsifying documentation. So she could get in trouble and lose her job, maybe lose her license. So she shouldn't do that. When is it acceptable to be dishonest in a healthcare facility? It's never acceptable. I think that's a question, but I think y'all know that. So y'all don't need that right now, right? Y'all know that, right? Okay.
Responsibility.
Healthcare workers are relied upon by patients and coworkers. They must demonstrate dependability by finishing tasks accurately and on time. They must also take responsibility for their actions, even when the consequences are not pleasant. For example, Alicia began her career as a medical assistant a few months ago. After changing the dressing on a patient's wound, Alicia threw the old dressing and her gloves into a regular trash can instead of a biohazardous waste container. A nurse noticed these items in the trash can and reported the incident to the supervisor. When the supervisor asked who was responsible, Alicia admitted to her mistake. Although she was embarrassed, Alicia took responsibility for her actions and learned from her error. Which of the following demonstrates responsibility?
Oh boy.
All right. So write that down. With things that demonstrate responsibility, finishing that task, completing that task, and admitting mistakes. Anybody still writing?
Commitment. Help.
All right, healthcare workers must show that they are dedicated to their jobs. This means that they do not perform tasks half-heartedly. Even in difficult circumstances, healthcare workers must display genuine commitment and dependability. For example, Luke took a short vacation over the weekend and did not get home until very late on Sunday evening. He was scheduled to work at 7 a.m. on Monday. Although he was tempted to take the day off, Luke is committed to being a good employee. He went into work as scheduled. Which of the following demonstrates commitment? Huh?
Going the extra mile.
All right, going the extra mile. Oh. All right, so write this down. So just listen. So I'm gonna tell you what to write. By staying late, to help a coworker, finish a difficult task, demonstrates commitment. So by staying late to help a coworker finish a difficult task, demonstrates commitment.
Enthusiasm. Finally,
All right, so healthcare workers must show enthusiasm in their work by being positive and encouraging. One healthcare worker can lift the spirits of several patients and coworkers. For example, a team of nurses in a hospital was saddened by the resignation of a coworker. Rhonda, an LPN, sent each team member an encouraging card to help motivate the nurses to keep smiling. Thoughtful gestures like this can unify employees and create positive energy in the workplace. Why is enthusiasm important in healthcare? So it encourages patients, it uplifts coworkers, it creates positive energy.
follow the rules. In addition,
All right, in addition to maintaining a positive attitude, another desirable trait for healthcare workers is compliance. Healthcare workers must comply with the rules of the facility where they are employed. This includes following attendance policies, arriving to work on time, wearing appropriate dress, adhering to the line of authority, performing only the task in your scope of practice, obeying all general rules, guidelines, and standards. Healthcare workers must obey all rules, guidelines, and standards for the facility where they are employed. Um, Part of following the rules is to arrive at work on time. True.
Communication.
Healthcare workers must be able to communicate effectively. Communication is a process of exchanging messages. This involves sharing information, receiving feedback about the information. A good communicator is able to judge when it is appropriate to speak and when it is necessary to listen. Healthcare workers must learn to communicate with coworkers and patients. Communication can be verbal, written, or nonverbal. All methods of communication must be straightforward, understandable, and accurate.
Verbal communication.
So, verbal communication is the use of language and words to send and receive information. Verbal communication can take place face to face or over the telephone or now, Zoom or what Skype, whatever everybody uses. It can also occur one on one or in a group. Verbal communication is a form people use most often, and it is the most effective. It allows for instant feedback and discussion. It can end confusion instantly and bring about clarity and understanding. The goals for verbal communication in the healthcare field, in the healthcare environment, can typically be put into one of the following categories. You establish a rapport or connection. You obtain information from patients. You confirm understanding. You relay information to other healthcare workers, and you give instructions to patients.
Tone of voice.
It has been said many times, it's not what you say, but how you say it. This saying refers to tone of voice. A speaker's feelings are expressed through tone of voice. A healthcare worker's tone is very revealing to a patient. Patients can easily pick up on fear, agitation, calmness, and confidence from a healthcare worker's volume, rate, and pitch. Healthcare workers must be aware of how they sound. If they can adjust their tone of voice appropriately to the situation, it can become an effective communication tool. They can use their tone to calm and reassure patients, even if the news is bad. And a lot of times, like with that, especially like when you have to relay like bad news to people or patients or whatever, I mean, you kind of gotta be kind of like void of emotions, not like heartless, but you know what I'm saying, like if it's something that you have to do all the time, or it's a part of the job, then you gotta learn how to, because you gotta go in and deliver news to family members sometimes or whatever. So, it's important to be able to know how to control it, have a good tone of voice, know who your audience is and what message it is that you gotta relay to them.
Language choice.
With all the medical terminology that healthcare workers are required to know, they practically speak a different language. They need that language when conversing with colleagues. However, when interacting with patients, they must translate the medical terminology into lay terms. Lay terms are everyday language that patients can understand. For example, instead of saying lumbar, say lower back. Instead of saying costae, say ribs. At the same time, healthcare workers must avoid talking down to patients by oversimplifying their language. They should also avoid making noises such as and which are meaningless. Finally, they should be careful to enunciate words and avoid mumbling. The result is healthcare workers that sound professional and knowledgeable. That professionalism builds patients' confidence in healthcare workers. And I had to learn, because I come from the medical world, like when I came here and I'm talking to people, or like I was using our language because that's what I was used to, and everybody doesn't speak, medical. So I had to learn to say, like I would use like acronyms for everything, because those, if you ever looked at some medical words, they're huge. So it's usually an acronym that stands for something. So I had to remember, like I was emailing my education specialist downtown, and I was trying to get them to order something, but I was typing the email like, and they're like, well, what does that stand for? So I had to remember, everybody doesn't understand. So I had to simplify it. Like sometimes I'll tell y'all what the medical term is, but I'll tell you what it means because you might not know, what I'm saying, like what it exactly means. So you gotta know, again, you gotta know your audience. So while I might be talking to a colleague and saying a bunch of acronyms and words and stuff like that, then when I'm talking to, somebody that doesn't understand that, I have to, change it up.
Communication.
Written communication.
All right, so you got written communication. It's a form of verbal communication. Depending on the situation, there are benefits to using written communication. Written communication allows a writer time to research and to organize thoughts. Additionally, once written communication is completed, it can be proofread, edited before it reaches its audience. Written communication must be accurate and clear, and it should be brief with logical organization. It should be free of grammar, spelling, and punctuation errors. Finally, written communication should include vocabulary that is appropriate for the reader. Healthcare workers use written communication for the following items: messages and orders, test results, notes and patients' charts, informed consent documents, procedures and policies, patient education material, surveys, and letters and memos. And the thing, like, because we're in a world now where a lot of things are now sent through email. It's not really person to person. Like last year, it was a whole lot of it when everybody was, or majority of the year, we were virtual. So, I had to tell my students, I'm like, when you send an email to somebody, your teacher, you need to put in like the subject, what you're talking about. Because I would get stuff like, I need my work. What work? Like, I got so many kids, I don't remember if you wasn't here, or, you know what I'm saying? So, like, in your messages, you know, put in the subject what you're referring to, like my test, my makeup test or something, the name of the test or whatever. Then when you're writing it, at least say good morning, hello, something. Y'all just go like straight to the point. Should be like da 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 da, and then that's it. So as you get older, you're gonna have to start communicating with coworkers and colleagues and stuff. You know, like the proper etiquette on how you're supposed to write things, which is important.
Selecting the correct form.
Before using written communication, healthcare workers must first ask themselves if the message should be delivered orally. They should also decide whether or not the message requires a written record. Once it has been determined that the written communication is necessary, healthcare workers must decide what format the message should take. The written message could be a letter, email, report, etc. Memos are typically used for internal communication. Internal communication occurs within an organization, such as between a physician, which is a doctor, and a nurse. Letters are often used for external communication. External communication includes items that are sent outside of the agency, such as to an insurance company or to the community.
Writing memos.
So, memos are a form of written communication that are often used in the healthcare industry, both in printed form and via electronic email or email. Memos have some standard parts. So you have two. This part should include the names of all the people for whom the memo is intended. From this part should include the name of the person in the memo. Date. This part should contain the date of the memo is created. Subject. This part should briefly state the purpose of the memo. So that's what I meant, like with the emails. Put like a subject, what you're talking about. And then the body of the memo follows these parts and includes the details of the message.
The 5 W's. Once a format has been determined for written communication, healthcare workers must write the message using the 5 W's. Who is the audience? What is the purpose of the message? Why is the message important? When did or will the event occur? Where did or will the event take place?
Communication.
Nonverbal communication.
And then you got nonverbal communication. Includes methods used in addition to or as a substitute for language. Nonverbal communication includes the following: eye contact and facial expressions, gestures and body language, physical appearance, touch, and then proximity. Because you can say a lot with, not even saying anything.
Eye contact and facial.
So eye contact is one form of facial expression. Direct eye contact usually sends a powerful and positive message. Smiles also generally communicate a positive message. However, an artificial smile can often be detected by others. Other facial expressions communicate as well. A blank stare can indicate fever. A grimace can express pain. A bland look can suggest depression. Healthcare workers must be conscious of both interpreting facial expressions in others and in maintaining their own expression to be sure that they are sending the appropriate message.
Healthcare workers should strive for an open, friendly expression that is neither too solemn or too cheerful.
Gestures and body language. What can the
What can the tapping of a foot imply? Crossing the arms, waving. In addition to facial expressions, people can communicate through body language and gestures. Body language sends powerful messages to others. At times, people can use their bodies instead of words, such as when someone nods or shakes their head. Posture also conveys a message. People who stand up straight exude confidence, while people who slouch appear unsure of themselves. Healthcare workers must be skilled both in reading and in using gestures and body language effectively. They should be sure to lean forward slightly when interacting with patients. This body language shows interest in the patient.
physical appearance? In the healthcare industry, many workers touch.
All right, touching patients is required in many areas of the healthcare field. Touch can communicate many things. Touch can also be misinterpreted, which can be a serious matter. Special licensing that is required for healthcare workers provides them with some protection against some misinterpretations. However, healthcare workers must always be conscientious to touch patients with only kindness and respect. Patients can easily detect an inappropriate or uncaring touch. Communication in touch can also be expressed in how quickly and comfortably a healthcare worker moves with their patient. Beyond clinical touching that is required, healthcare workers may also feel inclined to give patients reassuring touches in the appropriate context. In some cases, a kind, concerned hand on the patient's shoulder can communicate far more than words can. So, I mean, you can be, touch is a form of communication too. Like if you don't want somebody, they're taking your vital signs and they're like all rough with you. You don't want that. So you gotta be mindful of that. Like my senior class is practicing vitals, taking each other's vital signs now. And one of them yesterday was, I was like, girl, you can't take care of nobody. You yanking on the patient's arm and stuff like that. So you gotta be mindful, of what you're doing because people gonna be like, no, I don't want her anymore. She's pulling on me and she's rough with me and stuff like that. So you still gotta be, appropriate touch. That's a form of communication as well.
Proximity.
And then proximity refers to physical space between people. The distance between people is one aspect of proximity. Appropriate distance between people varies among cultures. Healthcare workers must often invade patients' personal space in order to perform their duties. Sensitivity, professionalism are required when patient proximity is an issue. Proximity can also be communicated through height. In the communication between two people, if one is standing and one is sitting, the person who is standing communicates authority of the other person. In the healthcare industry, there are many cases where a healthcare worker will stand over a patient who is seated or lying down. Healthcare workers must be sensitive to show to how their proximity affects patients. Healthcare workers should sit down as often as possible when communicating with patients. Finally, proximity can also include odors. Healthcare workers who have close contact with patients should be aware of the type of body soap and deodorant they use. They should limit to forego perfume or cologne and practice good oral hygiene. So, like we talked about, some like different smells can affect people's allergies and stuff like that. Cause my husband has like bad allergies and smells like get to him like he can't like I don't wear like perfume. Like I wear like body spray a little bit sometimes, but like perfume and stuff gets to him like hair. Like he'll be like, "What'd you put in her hair?" Because he'll start sneezing and his eyes start turning red, and I'll be like, ugh. So some people just can't take smells and their allergies react to it. So that's why you gotta be careful. I mean, of course, use deodorant. Make sure you take a bath or whatever, shower, whatever you do. But all the extra, you know, keep it to a minimum because you don't know how to affect somebody else.
Communication. Interaction. When
All right, so when healthcare workers interact with patients and coworkers, they must be professional and appropriate at all times. This involves being respectful of all people. Healthcare workers must never be judgmental of a person's culture, ethnicity, age, gender, religion, lifestyle, or economic status. Instead, these differences should be valued. In addition, healthcare workers are often required to interact with various settings. Sometimes the interaction may be in a one-on-one setting. Other times, the interaction may be in a group setting. Healthcare workers must learn to act appropriately in each situation. A good communicator talks a lot and listens a little. How should healthcare workers behave during interaction with patients and coworkers? Professionally. All right, write that down. Number 9. And the last question: healthcare workers should criticize ethnic differences in the workplace. Oh, anybody still right? Number 9. All right, so on your paper somewhere, I want you to answer this question: is communication one of your strengths or weaknesses? And then you're gonna describe how you're able to communicate or interact with people one-on-one and in a group setting, and which one is more comfortable. So tell what is communication your strength or your weakness. Um, Tell how you interact with people one-on-one or in a group setting, and then decide between those two which one is more comfortable for you. So you like one-on-one, you like group setting, group interaction better. So answer that. I'm gonna give y'all a few minutes. And then we'll talk about it. We'll see if he comes back. All right, so who thinks they have a strength in communication? You know, you the only one?
I ain't hear the question.
Who thinks they have a strength in communication? Y'all raising y'all hands like this. Okay, who has weakness in communication? Okay, so do y'all rather do one-on-one or in a group? One-on-one group. Who says one-on-one? Who says group? Why? Why group? More people for why? You think the attention not gonna be on you? Everybody not gonna be focused on you?
I hate you in school.
So why a group though?
I don't like talking to people just like one person in the room. It's kind of weird.
It's weird to talk to one person?
Well, no, it's like weird just having one person in the room talking to you, like one-on-one. I don't like that.
So if you have an interview for a job, what you gonna do? You gonna be like, can I bring a friend?
I get used to it.
Uh-huh. Okay, so why one-on-one? The people that like one-on-one. More personable?
Yeah.
More comfortable? Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, like nobody interrupting you.
Well, the person you talking to can interrupt you.
Well, not really.
Wait till you meet somebody that talk all the time. They gonna be like, you gonna get a word out. I don't know which. I think communication used to be a weakness of mine, but then when I started teaching, I had no choice but to be able to communicate. Now, I mean, I think it comes with age. Like, I don't really care. Like, I said what I gotta say, I'm done. I used to care, but now I don't really care. Like, I do what I got to do. One-on-one or in a group, it don't really matter to me. I don't. One or the other. I used to not like standing in front of people and talking, but now I can do it, so it's fine. Both of them are comfortable to me. Okay, so if you feel like you have a weakness in communication, how do you think you're gonna be able to improve it? Talk to more people. Y'all be talking all the time though. That's because y'all talk to people y'all know. Y'all don't try to talk to people y'all don't know. Cause y'all work with people that don't even know their name. Y'all do y'all group project. I'll be like, well, I don't know. I mean, the first thing be like, hey, what's your name? Then know who you working with. I think, what did my first period say yesterday? They said, somebody said more group projects. And I was like, because with the group projects, and you got people that disappear, they never come back, then you working by yourself anyway. So, or, people don't put in the same effort on the project. I never like group projects because I don't really trust other people with my grade unless they got the same like mindset and ethic as I do. But if I don't know, I really know them and they don't care about their grade, then I'll be like, look. So I don't really like group projects myself.
Personal and professional.
So, healthcare industry is always changing. Because of this, healthcare workers must be willing to grow personally and professionally. So, one way to monitor growth is to set goals. A goal is a desired result or purpose. Goals can be long term or short term. A long term goal is an achievement that may take a few years or even a lifetime to accomplish. Short term goals are smaller steps that are taken to help reach the long term goal. A short term goal may take only a few days, weeks, or months to accomplish. Healthcare workers should set goals for personal and professional development. The following questions may help a healthcare worker set long term and short term goals. What would I like to be doing in 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years? What type of education or training is needed? What personality traits or characteristics may be required? What problems could prevent me from achieving a goal? What small steps can I take now to help me reach a goal? All right, so on your paper, write one long term goal. So think like 10, 20 years, that's long term, that you have for your life. And then list like a couple, it don't have to be three, but like two goals that can help you achieve that one long term goal. So what you think for yourself long term? 10, 20 years, 15. Hmm. Hmm?
Can I go to the RCC room? The RCC room.
I'm trying to get in the artsy room. When she come, when Sonomia come in. All right, what y'all got for long term? 10, 20 years. Nobody got a long term goal? Y'all just gonna be bums? Hmm? That's it? Nobody? Y'all don't like to talk at all. Nobody. Short term goals. You ain't got no goals. Going to college. 10, 20 years gonna take you no goals?
No. We talking about some long term.
Yeah.
Like work in different places. Like I don't want to stay in one place and just work there. Like travel.
What you want to be?
A paramedic. And if not that, then a photographer.
You know what?
Photographer.
You can do both. No, paramedics work like 2 24-hour shifts. a week. So you can do both. So what you gotta do to get there? Work. You gotta do work. Anybody else got a long time goal? Oh my God, y'all are the worst. We'll get information. Chanel,
Yes.
cause you like to talk. You ain't scared to talk.
Be financially okay.
Okay, so what you gotta do to get there?
Like, use money wisely.
Use money wisely. Don't be buying all the joints that come out. Right?
Yes.
Yes. Anybody else? See, I ain't finna share my goals. Okay. Remember taking up stuff for donations for the adopted families. So y'all need extra credit, cause some of y'all do. Cause it's not gonna be no grade dropping this 9 week.
Lesson summary.
Make sure you keep up with your notes. Make sure you have your notes. Make sure you're doing your bell ringers. Make sure you're dating your bell ringers. Somebody's gone and somebody else needs to go somewhere. What you got to do? What you got to do? Cause you came in here and had your phone out when you were trying to do the bell ring. So that's why I got it. What?
It was like 7 o'clock.
What? You ain't like no 7 o'clock. I ain't gonna lock the door at 7 o'clock. What you supposed to do when you come in though?
I did though.
No, you did not. You was sitting here with nothing out.
I did do it. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it's done now because I got your phone.
I did it.
No, yeah, you did it afterwards. It was right when after you came here, you was here with your phone. I came in and said, put your phone. It wasn't hardly nobody in here. Yeah, just got in here. I don't ask for much. Once you come in, sit down, do your bell. I don't ask for much. Take your notes. That's it. That's all I really ask for. All I really ask for.